OKFM 101.7.
Mekwa omensu no makwa akote enkomoyi aba. Energy policy analyst. Ora Nsiah na yene ne bo nkomoyi. Jiri na nse yintem wati nkomo bi a yakogya nwode energy sector wa ekukuru. Ni na is about ECG. Say yetam dia say ankran privatization of ECG. Anamo amba pesi otu na ode ma ankran hwe so. Ano nkomo apie. Na yene gya nwode numdifo yi emo nkomo yi. Yera Ben mache.
Obagwame. Ya menko mi wofa.
Mpacha na bakode.
Nyame adomofa.
Da nyame asafisha panso.
Afin ko Nsiah mofa.
Yo.
Afi se na bia oka Jubilee House board.
Oh, kanya bad die. Kanya bad kra. Enya bad kra ja. Wo man yetumi sum ni ne capacity nti ko shewa. Yo. Yera Ben we de wa ya nimdifo wo janwode energy mu yi de yemisa. O candidate stand. ECG. Yade sha nkrankransem. Yade ma aban. Emu de wan na obe opti for.
Me da se. Je meka gira di se ejina ankrankra ye di hye nsem. Se pese di hye ankrankransem a na ejina aban so kra obehwe ECG se pese di ma aban I think sa ni ma miri na wo se hwe. Enya di se ye di ma aban na di ma na aban sa akwa. Na enyen so se di ma ankrankrenti di ma ankrankran bia sa akwa. I think Nyama mine was say if any say abai ewo the capacity or the ability and as ankran so ewo the capacity and as ability ankran capacity na ne sika owo so betimi I inject ama isi Japan into my frafra and as in India or deba the abesisa nyama no say abai so abai ewo sa sika no and as won India no kisani ma we ne was say sana ya can say the ma ban and I say the man cram.
Very well. ECG over the years, ye na ye nim say ya ban na e won nsemu a ohwe so. Hu omdwumade say.
Okay, me da say ofa ECG dwumade dia in recent times no dwumade enkon kan na me kan dwumade na me de bia nema mi no na me sabi na behwe ne dwumade. Mission total equities over time for the past 5 years, and the total equities declining because from 8 billion in 2019 to 5 billion in 2023, and we are planning 2024 data bar, and there was to 4 billion. He said, "Yeah, I'm sure you are in the next 3 years, no." The liabilities override the assets did not fall into negative equity. And there are no BCZ BBO, Yentimintia, the country of BCZ infrastructure, and what BCZ at Japan BBO, 1% of the 3 years, because the moment of this that ECZ will be now, my power sector also no, it becomes very unstable. No. Now, the second part is more profitability and as a financial performance. And also no Nadia yeka wasembia because in the last 5 years and also no apart from 2020 being an outlier of about 400 million Ghana cedis no ECG can kwa obo and the last 2 years kwa can also krano they take krano edoson almost 16 billion. It's all the key report from Auditor General and a reporter of public corporations for 2023. Almost 16 billion, but we take it state ownership of state somewhere around 14 billion. You know, in 2 years in Guano, we see Waboka 16 billion, we see Waboka 14 billion, and the company Boka hard gain because Ankabia liabilities increase. You know, the company may make between the liabilities there profit be I redeem the liabilities Naja was still on course, but also no financially no. A car noble profitability no and papa losses and now observe for the last 5 years. Now we have few also na yaba operational performance is no ECG the system losses high because PURC benchmark or the ECG na 22%, but net system losses being equal to around 37%, but after 2023 data equally 26.9, which is even above the benchmark PURC asset what they call Uganda. Some of their discos are doing 17%. What they call Kenya, some of their discos are doing 23%. So why should ours be doing more than the benchmark? I call 26, a bit more equal to 37%. So it means that these are all Sika and Kawase by Butu money in actually Copa. And operationally, this ECG is also inefficient. Now, these three reasons in Tina Biobedri say there was a yefe. Should I buy come in and I say from my property? The first point is I was buying Bamwa. I buy Wiscano. Offer in 2019, World Bank it was buying for sale also or design what we call the Energy Sector Recovery Program. Now, sorry program na Emma I buy allocate energy sector shortfalls in the budget so that all the Bebwa energy sector. But I buy allocate on Timintia because the government is also financially constrained and as a liquidity constraint. I buy one must be also on Timintia, and this was evidenced by the cash waterfall mechanism since August 2023. By starting cash waterfall mechanism, Minister of Finance, the contribution to the mechanism is zero. On Timintia Peswa Cranko because I buy what you know. This Okase Ka ECG bono, and I say the total equity and diminution, and I say decreasing. The financial losses increasing, the operational losses increasing. Government should come in. Government always have to inject this huge amounts into it. Government so no or a cash trap. On one more $3 billion PPA or gas supply contract also Pokotia. And that is about 45 billion. Or no yes can into operational wise and so on time the ECG. I think it will not do. The other part is that workers will be buying any some good structure, say the obey appointee will be a owning day, will be a competent. But yes, the way our political culture is. The political culture is so porous that will be quite an hour. We see any obey money, but the question, now one year now, and also politics in the end, because the Panabiana funding or contributing to the party. So government interference will continue at this particular area, won't me, and so on. Now, lastly, we'll consider privatization, and I think that is where the conversation is now because government will say, oh no, this country will ECG more attending over. Or no, on to me, any political interference. So let's look at privatization. I think that the kind of privatization I say communal and the was I've seen a lot of proposals didn't say concession and I have concession that because PDS was a concession, but PDS also it lacked transparency, it lacked inclusivity, and it also lacked honesty in the part of some of the partners, their ability or their capacity to inject some liquidity into the base of ECG and also improve the capital base of ECG. The consortium formed by an Angolan company and Ghanaian companies, one of the precondition terms is also bank guarantee. Bank guarantee and insurance guarantee. The government did a risk assessment of that particular insurance guarantee from a Qatar-based company. The insurance company now with me in case of any eventuality. The insurance company no any capacity. It means that someone lied to us. It means that someone did not tell us the truth about that particular consortium, and that is why PDS we don't have to repeat the PDS deal. We must make sure that Ghana media is carried along this particular privatization because of the privatization, no question of the privatization, not the Ghana food energy terms of the privatization. We even at our center is even proposing that we need to run what we call a social impact assessment survey. And as I was saying, survey we get to the Ghana food and as a Ghana for Yintum, Ghana for Yitum Krana privatization, then I was a Ghana for Yepe. And because it's a company, so if you are going to take a critical decision about privatization, Ghanaians must be carried along. And that is why I think that the committee and the ministry must carry all of us along in this particular privatization. So, you know, to say, and company do go. And as any total equities, no, and send and run into negative equity, send the toll. are running into negative equities now. Okay, let it be there like that. But it also has its own consequences in future. So privatize, yeah, what kind of privatization? Is it going to be outright asset sales? I don't think so. Is it going to be a divestiture of the company? I don't think so. Maybe a concession. A concession, how many years and a concession also have DNA also the bomb, Sikasen also the bomb, the Padudosen also the bomb. All these must also be analyzed by the Ghanaian and appreciated so that you need to say if say corner, young corner, and more company now. But a bank or centralized decision on Akofana Green send the EC PDS easy because green then time now. I can privatization and so on from Pasubiam.
You're right, but was in you're quite Mukakra one Kumoimua. Not just yet. You have win someone who can hear who be here say. The best option now and the best alternative now is in the bay. Said they are buying all these years and that improvement beyond said then a carbon near the idea. Then a bay say, Kayan Farmer and Crankra, but no crown. I was say, yeah, a bit cautious, Kakra. And son, remember a Kua Assorietia Sana Montuino. And before being so young, what they say, moo etufo. Say, yes, so could say Jada on Yonkabo Jisima was in Sudio. Countries like Nigeria, Uganda, woman so far privatization, Kwanya, Sumekovia Sieno. Woman, woman. As compared to North African countries, woman, a bino and but there is a strong government involvement. And some means to see yes,
it is true that privatization in power sector privatization Africa do not I think 30% of them collapse, including that of Ghana PDS. But context matter because one context now say Nigeria no a problem. One thing is that most of the private persons normally these companies among inject any liquidity into it, take advantage of the existing assets, and then also continue to call for increase in tariffs. But one, we need a good regulatory enforcement because regulatory enforcement then ensures a company and take advantage of Ghanaians, and we must also be strict on the injection of capital. Each year, I was saying a company because in other jurisdictions within the same Africa, privatization in South Africa, for example, and other countries like Kenya, private person involvement, more unstable power. So we should not always look at the bad models. I think in Nigeria, for Nokrano, almost Nigeria has about 10 or 11 distribution companies based on regional based or state-based distribution companies. And if you privatize, you cannot say privatize the whole of ECG. Every time privatize on regional levels, on zonal levels, Ashanti zone in different companies should have it. The southern zone or the Greater Accra area, including central region and the western region, a different company could have it. Maybe the eastern zone, maybe OT region, Nomne, Bota region, a different company will have it, and still NEDCO maintains the other company. Maybe nobody to engender some kind of competition, even though they are not within the same market, but it might engender some competition among them. A bit Miyama or be but with our experience, NEDCO is from a different zone. ECG is from a different zone, but NEDCO also made a net loss of 748 million Ghana cedis. So, and me, I'm promoting that competition. So, the other argument is that after you privatize ECG, you deregulate the sector, you liberalize the sector, and allow other participants into it. As to what I say, what technology, and innovation, I allow other participants is another conversation that we must have said. We'll get system dynamics expert to develop a new model. On our distribution lines, any one company and many companies, so that many things fear, they say you have good services. Now, good service, and service I change and then switch to another service. I think that all these conversations will more committee will respond to some of these issues and the best deal out of it. But I believe that we also need regulatory enforcement, and macroeconomic stability, because most of the problem with respect to tariff increments and under recoveries and as a forex losses has to do with macroeconomic instability, especially the exchange rate and the inflation. These are some of the key inputs of tariff adjustment. And ECGA complains the entire because of the depreciation of the cedi against the dollar and also inflation high real-time tariff. I think that our economy must be stable, because the economy is stable. Any private person will not sit idle and lose huge sums of dollars as a result of depreciation. They always call for tariff increment. And I think that on a conversation also and I believe that the technical committee must engage everybody, including people who don't believe in privatization with respect to other jurisdiction or more reasons for the failure, and then put them in such a way that we craft a good policy. Say co-privatization, co-privatization is on a government where government is going to get huge sums of money to inject into these companies. So
now to the issue of Public Utility Workers Union, PU. Are strongly opposing Sana Moya Bampese Otuno. With Domo grounds back. So when we privatize just a clear move of profit over equitable service delivery. Then question Yebisane say, why is the equitable service delivery citing inefficiencies and Niema ECG, where we don't need experts to tell us about the Mejuma Womuye. Is that the case? The private for profit, a profit over equitable service delivery.
Okay, that's it. I think that PU for or more concerns are legitimate, because any private person will not allow redundancy at ECG, will ensure that they're cutting down payroll cost. And because of the cutting down payroll cost, they are because they in Latin America, for example, or more discos, or more even in Africa, some discos in Africa are doing one employee to 1,000 customers. Latin America, one employee to about 10,000 customers. Europe, Eastern Europe, some are doing one employee to about 3,000, 4,000 customers. Ghana had, ECG, one employee to about 500 customers. Also, need to almost say one employee to about 500 customers. Which means that labor productivity, most of these countries are very labor productive compared to Ghana, because Ghana and one employee 70 per kumabi, whilst one employee 70 per brave. But however, look at the practicality of issues in Ghana. There's also problems with on connectivity, because ECG work across it takes time. ECG fixing mawa. Even though but there's still issues of operations in a year. But the private person never ompene money probably enko tina office abra munya adwuma ompene ma onko share chiri ba bi nko yeka na bi nko diskabi enko di abra company na iboka nti as a labor union they are on the fight against some of this privatization. But tariff adjustment and the private person, yes, so making sure so bring a real time tariff so that boka. But it also has to do with enforcement. For example, the Inter-American enforcement which also we must strengthen public utilities and regulatory commission, which might not do my I want to add into PURC anti-man sanction ECG. You remember 2024, where ECG was not supposed to keep many accounts. ECG kept accounts. ECG was not supposed to lie to Ghanaians that Doomson was a doom CC as a result of say more KP or more transformers and also more fixture more transformers. ECG can say no credit. ECG sanction board sanction MD no. But in the sanction no ankosi babia, the entire ankosi babia because of when are buying companies. But some private person ECG will sanction them and let them pay because any buying and government has not enough interference. So when you get a good regulator within the private space, the private company cannot take advantage of Ghanaians in here. You need pool for an account. So you get a good regulator. The private company cannot unequally distribute bills and other tariffs across board. So and yet the Omokano engine. So more per se, ECG, I didn't know operationally. Sometimes I don't even want to talk about the finance part, but operationally, why are our system losses increasing? Why are they not talking? Again, no money, my more one can watch them. But I know, said they are more agitated, and these agitations will continue to go on, especially a private person or master and if I do now, but you know, and they are protecting their jobs. I understand them, but so more, they should contribute to the table. Let's all discuss it. A privatization among the more residents and the Biomodeba Ama is in Japan into my so that it will not run into negative equities. This will let us know, and then maybe as contributors of this particular new reforms in Ebano, it mark as based on the proof for Nakano, any question privatized. But if you are just kicking against it, I think that is a way to blackmail government, and government will not take it now.
Robin, I don't pay Hebedwas, what I know.
Mr. Medasi.
You will not be surprised that Kubaka sorry now, you better say, Abaya privatize electricity company of Ghana.
I'll be surprised if we don't get the best deal. But I wouldn't be surprised if you privatize. But you're surprised, but depending on the deal, when I was saying any DHC. So I'm going to repeat PDS deal because I'm Ghana.
Yeah, that's your pay.
That's it.
You know, Robin Nsiah, our energy policy analyst, and a church commodify by an more to say electricity company of Ghana, a dear Mia, a call how munti, or beton, and that's on Tom Crow or Danediama, Uncle Crojumana, or Mashaso.
OKFM 101.7.